There's a lady walking her dogs at the park right now. It's making me really uncomfortable. Hey guys, I'm back again today with another video. And yeah, so I've been doing a lot of video research on videos I'd like to film, and one of those is what I'm filming today, which is the story of Chris Watts and his family. This was a case in Colorado very recently. All the details are still unknown, and we're not going to assume anything because you need to pay respects to the family, especially this early on in a case. Shanann and Chris Watts met when Chris had friended Shanann on Facebook, and Shanann had said it was the best thing that ever happened to her. In 2012, they had gotten married and they moved from South Carolina to Frederick, Colorado. They had 2 daughters, 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella, and Shanann was actually 15 weeks pregnant at the time, and she had posted the video on Facebook of her announcing her pregnancy, which I'm going to play right now.
We did it again. I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
That's awesome. So pink means...
That's just the test.
I know. It just says the pink is going to be girls.
I don't know. Just the test.
That's awesome. Guess when you want to, it happens.
Found out they were pregnant with a boy, and they were supposedly going to name him Nico. Shanann was a sales rep for a company called Lavelle. They sold nutritionist products, and she was very involved in this, and she was said to be very sociable and had a lot of friends. Chris had worked in the oil and gas industry for a company, which name I'm probably going to mispronounce, so I'm just going to read it to you. Anadarko Petroleum Corporation. And people thought of them as a really strong family, a really solid couple. Nobody would have thought of Chris to be malicious, and they didn't think there was any issues with the family. And Shanann had frequently posted to Facebook and her social media about what a wonderful husband Chris was and what a wonderful father he was to their children. On Monday, August 13th, 2018, Shanann was out of town on a business trip to Arizona. At 1:48 a.m., a neighbor's security camera had picked up Shanann being dropped home from the airport by a friend, and according to Chris, he woke up around 4 or 5 a.m. to get ready for work. At 5:27 a.m., the neighbor's security camera had picked up Chris backing up his truck to the garage, and Chris told law enforcement that he was just backing up his truck to load tools into it. The next morning, Shanann was supposed to go to a doctor's appointment, which she didn't show up for, and this is when people started getting concerned. Chris claimed that first he didn't think anything of her not answering her phone and thought that maybe she was just spending time with the kids and didn't want to worry about her phone because she hadn't seen them due to her business trip. But then one of Shanann's friends had went to their house and she couldn't find Shanann or either of the girls. And that's when Chris says that he realized something was wrong. At 1:40 p.m., the Frederick police were called, and at this point there was still no word from Shanann. Chris had given the officers the okay to search the house, and there was no signs that had pointed to Chris, and they were all concerned because she had left all of her personal belongings at the house. And usually when someone runs away, they'll take their personal belongings with them, but Shanann didn't take anything with her, and all of her personal stuff was still left at the house. On August 14th, which was the next day, Colorado Bureau of Investigation and the FBI had gotten involved. They issued a missing persons report for all 3 of them, and they started searching. On that day, Chris had done an interview, which I'm going to try to play right here.
I want them wherever they're at, like, I have no inclination of where they're at right now. Like, I've exhausted, like, every friend that I know of, and every friend that I have has called friends that Shanann has that maybe I didn't know about, and it's just like, it's vanished. Like, she's not, like, when I got home yesterday, it was like a ghost town. Like, she wasn't here. Kids weren't here. I have no idea, like, where they went. And it's just earth-shattering. I don't feel like this is even real right now. It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from. I'm just hoping right now that she's somewhere safe, and maybe she's there. But right now it's just like, if she's vanished, like, I want her back so bad. I want those kids back so bad.
He was acting very desperate to bring them home and seemed very concerned. And I personally think that I don't know, to me it just seems kind of fake. He doesn't seem that concerned to me. Like, he seems like he wants to bring them home, but to me it looks like he's hiding something, anything. On Wednesday, August 15th, police began an investigation using a drone, and they suspected that the bodies may be near an oil field. At Chris's house, they had found a specific set of sheets in the trash can, and it had like a specific pattern on them, and then they had later found the same patterned sheets during their search. And they found out that Chris was actually having an affair with one of his co-workers. According to court documents, Chris had then said, "I will tell you the truth after I talk to my father." At 11:30 p.m. that night, Chris was arrested because the neighbor he was staying with said that at first he had felt bad for Chris, but then realized that Chris wasn't really forthcoming with information and wasn't really telling them all that he knew.
We thought we knew him. Didn't think he was ever capable of doing anything like this. I mean, there was no, at any of our times of hanging out, there was no signs of that he was ever capable of doing something like this. And I think Amanda and I latched onto that, like, and that's why we were kind of there for him. And it's just, we couldn't see that to be a possibility.
Aside from the dog, you didn't just let the dog into your house, you let Chris into your house too.
Yeah. After
the fact of everything happened. You have a little girl that's Bella and Celeste's age. In hindsight, what's going through your mind?
That regret, I mean, that's something I'll never forget, that we allowed this guy in our house. I mean, had we had any inclination that we thought he was involved at all, no way would I have let him in my house with my wife and kid. So
he slept right across the hall from her.
Right. I mean, she came in that morning and was like, I saw Mr. Chris, you know, because I mean, their doors are right by each other. And so that, I'm never going to forget. It's just a haunting memory now at this point. Like, yeah, no way did we know he could have been capable of something like this. I mean,
on August 16th, Chris had admitted to killing his wife and kids, and my thoughts on this are, honestly, I don't know. Like, obviously we want to know why he did it, and I think at this point we still don't really know why. I feel like the affair with his coworker might have something to do with it, but in the end we really don't know. And we didn't know this at first, but we later found out that Chris was changing his story, and he had claimed to kill Shanann, but not the girls. He was claiming that Shanann had killed her daughters, and that he had killed Shanann in a fit of rage after finding his daughters dead. And honestly, I think that's bullshit. You're not gonna say that, like, you're not gonna change your story, say, like, I killed all 3 of them, and then say, oh no, my wife killed the daughters, and then I killed her, because it just doesn't make sense. They don't line up, obviously, because he changed his story. Chris had admitted that him and Shanann had had an emotional fight that morning of their disappearance, but nobody knows what was really said in that fight. Everyone just knows that it was a fight about their relationship. He claims that when he went back into the house that night, he had went into the girl's room and had saw Shanann strangling Celeste, and that Bella was already laying on the floor, strangled and bruised. And he said that he had strangled Shanann then out of rage. Earlier, when he had said that he was loading tools into the back of his truck, he was actually loading their bodies into the truck. Around 2:30 p.m., Chris had appeared in court, and he was denied bail. And he confessed where the girls and Shanann were. He had put the bodies in the oil field that he had worked on. Shanann was in a shallow grave, and the girls were submerged in an oil tank. And autopsies, I think it was that they said, had showed that we don't really know how long the girls had been in there. They could have been up in there around 4 days, a day, we don't know. But on that Friday, autopsies were done and no info was really released on them. That night, there was a beautiful vigil for the 3 of the girls and the unborn Nico, and there were hundreds of people that showed up, and the community had really come together to mourn over the loss of these wonderful people. Chris was charged with 3 counts of murder in the 1st degree, 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy in the 1st degree, and 3 counts of tampering with a deceased human body. We found out later that Shanann and Chris had declared bankruptcy in 2015, and they were $449,000 in debt, with only $864 in their bank account. There was controversy over when the kids were killed. It's unsure of whether he killed the kids when he had killed Shanann, or if he had killed the kids while Shanann was away on her business trip before she got home. And the Weld County is still unsure of whether Chris will be charged with the death penalty. And the reason why they are unsure of this is because in the state of Colorado, he can't be charged for the murder of an unborn child, which personally I think he should be. I know it's different in some states, but when he obviously knows that his wife was pregnant, he should definitely be charged with the murder of the child, in my opinion. If he didn't know, that's a different story, but he obviously knew. There's a video proving that he knew. And we are currently waiting on the autopsy reports to show whose DNA is on the girl's neck, to see which one of Chris's stories is true. I personally believe that Chris had killed the girls and then killed his wife when she got home, because we don't know how long the girls were in the oil tanks. But at this point, we still don't know. And when any more information comes out, I will try to update you guys on that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you look more into cases like this, because I personally find them really interesting when cases are like somewhat unsolved, and I just thought it would be interesting to talk about this case because it is more of a recent case, because it happened back in August, not even a month ago. It might be a month from when I'm posting this, but I don't think it is. Anyway, that's all I have for today, and I will see you guys next time.